Ladies and gentlemen, welcome into the 143. This is Under Review. We're coming at you live with episode 142.
We got another banger inbound. The Cowboys survive at MetLife. And I'm saying survive because the Giants are terrible. And we barely scraped by, which is unfortunate,
Sad.
and suffered two key losses on defense due to the MetLife monster.
Yeah, it was a hard game to watch as a Cowboys fan, but we'll get into it here in a little bit. Stat of the week brought to you by Andrews Logistics. This is actually non-football related, but it just had to be brought up. This is the first time since 2007 that neither one of the league winners from the previous year in Major League Baseball made it to the World Series made it to the playoffs this year. It happened in 2007, but it hasn't happened since then. The Rangers and the Diamondbacks both did not make playoffs this year, and as a Rangers fan, we are saddened to say that our season was over in June, July. So it's been a tough year. Diamondbacks had hope until the very end, but they unfortunately didn't make it either. Not unfortunately for us, but unfortunately for them. But just it's crazy because normally teams that are pretty dominant the year before bring back the same roster like we did.
You would think. They just had the same energy, but we did not. We absolutely stunk this year. Like Joseph
Maybe
said,
next year.
By the All-Star break, we were like, yep, next.
It's over. Yep.
Your player of the week, Derrick Henry, who has been an absolute dominant force in Baltimore, has scored a touchdown every week and ran for almost 200 yards this past week, 24 carries, 199 rushing yards with a rushing touchdown, and he also had 3 catches for 10 yards and a receiving touchdown. So another big week from Big D Hen.
Yeah.
He should have a star on the side of his helmet.
That's all I was thinking when I was watching the game. That's all I was thinking, watching him run. And
imagine if we had that.
Yeah. Imagine how dynamic our offense would be because we don't have a rushing attack right now. And it's Jerry's fault. I'm not going to get into Jerry again, but it's Jerry's fault we don't have King Henry. I'm not sure if it was a matter of pride or money or whatever it was, but we need him and we didn't get him. And now he's rubbing it in our faces in Baltimore right now. But just prime King Henry coming out last night. Not last night, but on Sunday night.
First game we'll get over briefly. Already touched on it a little bit. Cowboys-Giants. I mean, there's not much to be said there. Cowboys just looking pretty weak offensively and defensively. Dak looked decent. CeeDee Lamb came out and had a good game, but that's to be expected. No run game, which is absolutely killer for the boys. Made Daniel Jones look somewhat decent, which stinks because he's actually awful. But our defense just, I don't know.
Here's the thing. This was, as I said before, a hard game to watch if you're a Cowboys fan, which we are. We won the game, but it didn't feel like a win. Nothing was going, and we were playing one of the worst secondaries in the league, and we still couldn't get anything. We couldn't get a whole lot going in the passing game, and yet again, our defense looked awful in this time in the passing game. So we know we're terrible in the running game, but this time we looked awful in the passing game, making Daniel Jones look like the next Tom Brady.
Yeah, Malik Neighbors just tore up our secondary. Had no answer for him, but the Giants were just worse. And we're used to beating the Giants, but normally it's by a more significant figure than what we saw on Thursday night. There were so many holes this offseason that we did not fix or fill that are now, at this point in the season, as we're 2-2, those are getting exposed. Lack of a running back, lack of bulking up defensively, lack of getting more offensive weapons other than CeeDee Lamb in the wide receiver room. And we're seeing those issues come out as the Cowboys move on to 2-2.
Yeah, I saw somebody today said, and I kind of agree, that the Cowboys have gotten by the last few years on being able to hide behind the excuse of we were good in the regular season, we were dominant, we just slipped when it came to the playoffs. Well, hopefully, it's looking like this year we're going to be exposed for the team that we've been for the past few years, and that's not capable of winning anything major. And I think it's being exposed early in the season this year.
And I think obviously the Eagles are the Eagles, and they'll find ways to get lucky and win games.
Yep.
But the Commanders look actually like they could be somewhat decent.
Yeah,
Jaden Daniels has a few games under his belt. Looked a lot better this week than he did than he has in past weeks. They put up a whopping 42 on Arizona.
The Commanders are. We didn't take them seriously, but 2 weeks in a row now they've just been high-powered offense. I mean, Cliff Kingsbury is a great offensive mind, and he's their offensive coordinator, and their defense isn't looking terrible either. And they're looking scary now. It might be time to take them a little bit seriously in the NFC East, and also just as bad as the NFC East is playing right now, Washington could be a legit contender to maybe win the whole thing. I know it's early in the season, but win the whole division, not the whole thing. But so crazy game from them. Since we're in the NFC East, the Eagles drop another game to the Bucs. The Bucs have the Eagles number as of late, and Baker Mayfield was just phenomenal. If we look here, he threw for 2 touchdowns and he ran one in. Eagles don't look great. Nick Sirianni's under a lot of fire right now.
Mike Evans with yet another productive day at the office, just doing what he does best, flying under the radar and going out and putting in work. Baker Mayfield, I think it's safe to say, officially has a home. He had a good season with them last year, and now that he's, getting another season under his belt, after week 4, it looks like he is comfortable. And that's good to see just because he's been very talented. We knew that the ability was there. It was just finding the right situation. Jalen Hurts does not look great. He only threw for 158 passing yards and 1 touchdown, completing 18 of 30. So not a super productive outing from him. I think the Eagles are not as good as they have been. Saquon Barkley, though, that's your main issue offensively, is that run game. A lot of people are saying that they're comparing the DeAndre Swift of last year to the Saquon Barkley of this year, and I think it's not even close. This Saquon Barkley makes their running game so much better, and that stinks as a Cowboys fan because where we struggle is the run game. So when they come to town, they're going to run it down our throats with Saquon. So just not looking forward to that.
Yeah. Big Baker guy over here. Love seeing the Bucs take this one, and always love seeing the Eagles lose. But yeah, it's going to be tough playing Philly when they come to town. Vikings Packers. Jordan Love back from a sprained MCL injury, and man, the Vikings win yet again. They got up to a pretty early lead. Packers tried to claw their way back. Sam Darnold is it's great to see him win another game. And Kevin O'Connell, the Vikings are 4-0, one of the few undefeated teams remaining, and I just love seeing Sam Darnold get another win.
I was going to say, with 4-0 teams, it is just the Vikings and the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Those are the last 2 teams to be undefeated. They got up to a 28-0 lead there in the second quarter, and so essentially by that point, the game was over.
They might have gotten a little complacent.
The Packers' offense overperformed, played extremely well in the fourth quarter, but by that point, it was just too little too late.
It reminds me of another team.
I was going to say, it was similar to a Cowboys situation where you just get blasted the first 2 or 3 quarters of the game where you don't have a chance to, come back and then start playing great in garbage time, racking up the stats. And then
I think the Packers, though, I think they're happy with they're not happy with the outcome. They're not happy to take a loss, but they are happy seeing Jordan Love play the way he did. He played good, and he's coming back from an injury, and obviously there was a lot of concern there. So their franchise guy, he's fine, and he was playing well. And these division games, it was only September when this game was played, so still pretty early in the season. But love seeing the Vikings get that win. Another divisional game, Saints Falcons. This was a nail biter. Came down to the end when Younghoe Koo for the Falcons nails a 58-yarder to win the game for them. Falcons get the win here.
Neither quarterback threw a touchdown, but they did both throw a pick. Kirk threw for 238. Derek Carr threw for 239. So just a little interesting quarterback tandem there. Obviously, Younghoe Koo was the center of their offense. And then also the 2 touchdowns they had were defensive touchdowns.
Yeah.
As Kadarrell Hodge gets a fumble recovery into the end zone, and then Troy Anderson with a 47-yard interception, pick 6, and obviously the rest was field goals that made them win the game. Taysom Hill getting involved. They call him the Swiss Army knife. He had a couple touchdowns in there. Always good to see. Just he's a player. At the least, he's just a player.
This just shows a lot about overreaction in the NFL, which happens every week. But the Saints are now starting to look a lot like the Saints we thought they were. Started the first 2 weeks scoring 40-plus points on Carolina and Dallas. And now they were brought back down to earth. 2 losses in a row now, the Eagles and the Falcons. And so it's looking like the Saints we thought they were going to be, the Derek Carr we know and love so well. As much as I love Derek Carr, he has not always played great. So Kirk didn't play very well either, but they got the win. Yeah,
it's back to earth for the New Orleans Saints. It's just unfortunate that they had to have their fun with us. We're looking at the Saints as maybe having the most lethal offense ever. Not ever, but I mean they scored almost
out of everyone. Yeah,
almost scored 50 points in back-to-back weeks in week 1 and 2, but then they got brought back down to earth. Bengals finally get a win. Not much to say there. The Panthers look just like you would expect.
Andy Dalton's playing better than Bryce Young, though. So looks like he's their starting quarterback going
more
forward.
Points on the board from the offense when Andy Dalton's the starter, and they got a win with him.
Yeah, bigger chance to win with Andy Dalton, it looks like right now. Not much to say there, though. The Bengals, I mean, I guess both these teams, the Panthers and the Bengals, are now 1-3. So not a great look for the Bengals.
The Jaguars fall to 0-4.
Dude, are you serious? Trevor Lawrence isn't good?
You mean he stinks like we've been saying for the last 2 years? Who the thunk it?
Not us.
Jacksonville goes to Houston, and it is a nail biter. Comes down to the very end. Mm-hmm. The Texans score with 18 seconds left in the game.
Yeah,
go-ahead touchdown.
CJ Stroud did a great job of leading them down the field for the win. The Jags got the ball twice with 5 minutes left in the game and couldn't do anything with it to put the game away. Had to punt it, and CJ Stroud did what we saw him do a lot last year, where he took the game and won it for him in the end. Jags are 0-4. When asked about his job security, Doug Peterson said he's not worried about it. Buddy, I'd start getting a little worried if I were you, because they already paid Trevor for the next 4 years. So they're not going to get rid of him. They're going to get rid of you.
And they were expecting big things from Jacksonville. I mean, I think we said it last week. There were a lot of people. I know one person in particular that had the Jacksonville Jaguars winning the AFC. And
which we bring
they're
up
starting
a lot
out
because they stink.
0-4. Obviously early in the season, so who knows? But we've been saying Trevor Lawrence has stunk for the last 2 years, and we're seeing that on full display.
Here's the thing. first 3 games, 0-3. Okay, you could go back from that. The difference between 0-3 and 0-4 is actually pretty big. I think it is going to be very tough because now for the rest of the season, you're pretty much giving yourself a margin of what, like you can only lose like what 4 more games now, and then you lose more than that, you're probably not making it. So, I mean, the Jags also they looked a little bit better this week, but they don't look great, especially defensively.
And also, when you're 0-3, it doesn't matter how you look because you need to be winning games. So
yeah. So I think it's time to panic as the Jags, which I'm happy to see because I don't like them very much. And we've been saying Trevor Lawrence was not worth. He's not worth the money they paid him, and that's proven to be right. The Texans get the win. Steelers Colts. Justin Fields and the Steelers offense actually looked better this game than I've seen them look all season so far. Things are starting to gel over there with Arthur Smith maybe, but the Colts end up getting the win. 3 things will be certain in life: death, taxes, and Anthony Richardson getting hurt at some point early in the season. And that actually happened in this game. Joe Flacco comes in and gets the win for the Colts. Love to see that.
Good to see. Joe Flacco he lands himself another backup job here in Indianapolis. He was the backup last year in Cleveland, gets the nod as the starter, and then same thing here. I would say poor management offensively from the Colts because Anthony Richardson goes down with an injury, returns to the game, and the first thing they do is run the ball with him, and then he gets injured again and is forced to leave the game. So that's something to think about. But nonetheless, Joe Flacco with a good game through 2 tuds. Old guy still got it.
Hey, Anthony Richardson hasn't been playing great this season. Honestly, this could be a blessing in disguise for Indianapolis. Joe Flacco, like we saw last season, still got it. So,
what I was going to say along with still got it was there was this pass he threw was incomplete, but there was one where he is standing at the 25 and launched it to the other 10. And so that's, if you do the math real quick, that's like
65 yards.
Yeah, 65 yards or something like that. And he was standing flat-footed and just rears back and hucks a missile. So there was still some juice in the tank in the Joe Flacco
He's
industry.
A gunslinger. He's a gunslinger. We saw that last season.
The last gunslinger alive.
I will say, unfortunately, the Steelers, they don't look. I'm saying their offense looks better because we play them this Sunday night in Pittsburgh, and their defense we already know is legit. Their offense looks good or looks decent, which is something we can't deal with right now. So I will be very shocked, Nick, if the Cowboys walk out of Pittsburgh with a win with the way we've been playing recently. If we can, that'd be fantastic. But I will be surprised. I don't know how you feel about that.
Love to be, optimistic, but it doesn't look good because the Steelers' defense has been it didn't look as great this last week, but with the typical MO that they have, it's not going to be a fun time for our offense.
Yeah. Chiefs, Chargers, Chiefs win the game. There's not much to say here. It wasn't a crazy exciting game, but the one big thing is Rashee Rice collided with Patrick Mahomes. I'm sorry, it's the other way around. Patrick Mahomes collided with Rashee Rice. And
chop blocked his own guy.
Yeah, basically, I guess there's some speculation today he didn't tear his ACL, but the belief is he tore his ACL. That would be a major loss for the Chiefs, dealing with Pacheco and Hollywood Brown already being out. If you add their top wide receiver, it's looking bleak. And the one thing that could stop them from three-peating would definitely be some serious injury problems, and that's what they're having right now. So they are 4-0, but I don't think they haven't really won a game by more than a touchdown.
I don't think this is going to be a sustained form of winning. Travis Kelce getting involved again finally. 7 catches, 89 yards. Their best, I guess their best receiving weapon that they have other than Travis Kelce is Xavier Worthy.
Yeah.
But him being a rookie and being
the
really the
guy.
only weapon in the wide receiver room, that's a lot of pressure. I don't know if that's where – I don't know if he's going to be able to take that entire workload. Obviously extremely talented, but you're kind of
The thing
expecting
is,
a lot out of him.
It's early in the season. The Chiefs could potentially make some moves, and a lot of people want them to bring Tyreek Hill back. But also, Devontae Adams is
I was
looking
gonna say,
for
he is on
their
the
trade
table.
rumors. Which please get Devontae out of or Las Vegas, because I would love to see Devontae with a good team again.
Actually, be decent. Good
Yeah,
grief.
he's been wasted in Las Vegas, so that would be interesting. But yeah, the Chiefs, they go to 4-0. We've mentioned this game a little bit. We'll just touch on it. Ravens demolished the Bills. I don't think there's anything much to say here, other than the Ravens have been looking to come up from their 0-2 start. They beat us. They took care of Buffalo. I think every week we see something like this where the media overreacts to a team winning the week before, basically crowning them Super Bowl champs. And that's what happens with the Bills. And then the team goes in the next week and they get beat pretty badly. I mean, this game was over pretty quickly. Derrick Henry had a field day. I don't think that makes the Bills bad or anything. They just had a bad game.
I think it'll be the same old Bills we see every year. Just overperforming in the regular season and then, choking under the prime time lights.
In the division, though.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, but their division's not very good right now. The Dolphins look awful with Tua out, and obviously the Jets are being the Jets. They got a quarterback that likes to talk more than play. And anyway, so yeah, I just think it was a great game for the Ravens.
Last game we'll get into is the Seahawks-Lions, the second Monday night game. Geno Smith threw for almost 400 yards.
Geno's been spinning it.
The Seahawks, this is their first loss of the season. Jared Goff, a perfect 18 for 18 with 292 yards, 2 passing touchdowns, and a receiving touchdown.
Yeah. Let me say this. The Lions offense looked great, but this is the Lions offense that this is what we've been seeing this season. When the Lions go down at the beginning, they have a hard time coming back. The Lions offense is successful when their run game gets them out in front. You see 2 rushing touchdowns to start the game. When their run game can get it going, get them a lead, then they can go off that run game, Jared Goff can, and he takes care of business after that.
Jameson Williams putting his talents on display again. We knew him to be a speedy wide receiver in college, but he suffered with injuries there a little bit, and I think wasn't he one of the ones caught in the gambling stuff they had back then? Yeah. So we hadn't really get to see his talents. We've been seeing a lot more of it week in and week out, and we saw it this past Monday night on his 70-yard receiving touchdown. So
this is the Lions we're used to seeing.
Pretty lethal, but this is also the offense that we're kind of expecting to see out of them because of just the weapons that they have.
And 4 starting defensive linemen for the Seahawks were out this past game. And so when you have the best O-line in the league in the Detroit Lions and you have all the backups on the D-line for the Seahawks, they ran it down their throat, and that opened up the pass game. So, that's exactly what they game plan. I honestly got to give the Seahawks a lot of credit for staying in this game the whole time. I mean, when you're out that many defensive starters, I think they had 6 total that were out. It's tough to compete with like one of the best run games in the league. So
they just got down 2 scores early on, and they were never able to recover from that. Like after that, they were able to go down and score to retaliate, but at that point, they were down 2 scores.
They couldn't get a stop.
So they couldn't get a stop defensively to get the ball back. Kenneth Walker had 3 rushing touchdowns, so he's proven to be an absolute weapon for the Seahawks offense. But once they get their defense back, I think they'll look pretty good. Like Joseph said, Geno's been spinning it over there in Seattle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the new head coach.
Jigba, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, they got plenty of wide receivers to work with. And so that offense is pretty nasty.
And the defense has been looking good too. So the Seahawks, like, hopefully, with the Niners looking not great right now and the Rams not looking great, could be the Seahawks division this year. We'll see.
And with it being early in the season, it's like, we see what's up now. We got smoked defensively, so let's just learn and grow. So here's like the end of shows under review. Brought you a quote from the Peyton Manning, and he said, "It takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it."
That's the truth. Take that to heart this week. We'll see you next week with another episode of Under Review.